you can count on us. This is 7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Good Morning Fort Sill. Kyle's actually down in Dallas today for a kind of cool military sports-related story. We'll cover that tomorrow morning. We're going to pass it off to Ulysses for the weather for today.
Thanks, Dan. And looking at what's happening right now, though, or actually yesterday quickly, 99 degrees here in Lawton, 73 for the low. Normal temperatures are 96 and 71 degrees, so definitely above average across the area, but not by much. We've actually seen the moon actually rising over the last half an hour or so. This is our Comanche Nation Entertainment Tower came at Medicine Park Aquarium. So overall, though, not too bad here, but we will start seeing some changes here as we make our way through the next 24 hours. For your morning PT forecast, 73 degrees right now in Fort Sill. Calm winds, 2 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. Sunrise at 6:58. And as we look at those temperatures, they're going to be mainly in the mid-70s here through the next few hours before they start climbing up into the lower 80s by the time we make our way towards 9 a.m. And for the most part, if anything, maybe a 10% chance of a shower at best. Now, we do have a better opportunity for some storms as we make our way this afternoon to this evening. That includes marginal risk. We also do have a heat advisory for our eastern communities this afternoon and evening. And then by the time we make our way towards the end of the week, we're going to be dealing with temperatures making their way below average, and we'll also be drier across the area. We'll break down all those numbers throughout the show.
Well, President Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky and other European leaders yesterday in renewed efforts and face-to-face peace talks with Ukraine and Russia. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has more from Washington on what those next steps are.
This morning, a major push for peace in Ukraine, nearly 3.5 years after Russia invaded. Ukrainian President Zelensky returning to the White House to meet with President Trump and European leaders to discuss ways to bring an end to the war.
And security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us in our hearts.
The meeting striking a very different tone from Zelensky's February visit that ended in a shouting match. Trump and European leaders discussing security guarantees that could protect Ukraine against further Russian attacks. The president pledging American support.
When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
But it's unclear what those security guarantees may entail. The meeting comes days after President Trump's high-stakes summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, which ended without a ceasefire agreement. Heading into that meeting, Trump called it a must.
I want to see a ceasefire rapidly.
But Putin said no, and Trump backed down.
Trump goes there promising fire and hell for Russia if it did not actually go along. And make tangible concessions. Russia does not make tangible concessions. Nothing happens.
As the fighting continues, Trump is now pushing for another in-person meeting, this time with Zelensky and Putin at the table. But many are raising questions about Putin's true intentions.
This whole negotiation process could be a ploy. It could be simply a stalling effort by the Russians to continue the fight, looking like they actually want to an agreement when they do not.
It comes as Russia steps up its attacks over the weekend on major Ukrainian cities, killing at least 10 people and wounding dozens more. President Trump posting on social media that he called President Putin after his meeting with Zelensky to arrange a meeting between the country's two leaders. No word yet on when or where that meeting would take place. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, yesterday I sat down with Fort Sill MWR Special Events Coordinator Ethan Briner to discuss some upcoming events on the installation. This Friday, MWR will host a stable call at the Patriot Club's Jack Daniels Lounge. It is free and open to the public and gives the community a chance to meet and interact with the Fort Sill Command Team and other leaders from across the installation.
So stable call is a way for the community to come in and meet the command team, meet the soldiers, meet the green suiters on Fort Sill, and get to know who your neighbor is. It kicks off, it's at the Patriot Club, it's at the Jack Daniels Lounge inside the Patriot Club. It kicks off at 5, runs till 6:30. It's completely free, open to the community, and we welcome you. We want you to come in and get to know everybody and get to know what Fort Sill is about and who's running everything, and your opportunity to just feel like you're welcome.
Stable calls occur about once per quarter, and we'll be sure to inform you on the future ones. Ethan also talked about the upcoming SillCon event that's also this weekend. You can get tickets right now at ftsillcon.com, so fortsill.com. fortsillcon.com, and we will hear more details from Ethan on that event during tomorrow's show. Well, on Altus Air Force Base, they're gearing up for the 27th annual Cattle Drive. On Thursday, more than 30 Longhorn cattle will be led on a 3-mile drive through the installation. That drive will take place from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. It kicks off a whole day of festivities, and that night, the KC-135 will conduct a flyover for the opening night of the Altus Rodeo. In the Lawton Fort Sill Veterans Center, alongside the Patriot Guard riders, are hosting a memorial service and roll call this week for veterans who have passed away recently. That event will be held at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon at the Veterans Center at 501 Southeast Flower Mound Road. The event is free and open to attend, and I just want to speak on a personal note on this. I did serve as a guest speaker at one of these events a couple of years ago. It was truly humbling, and it was very meaningful, and they do a great job there honoring the memory of those that we've lost. Well, looking down south of the Red River, so a local tattoo shop in Wichita Falls is speaking out after concerns surfaced about a new shop that's opening on Sheppard Air Force Base. They say the tattoo business sees less traffic due to things like the pandemic and fewer people going to malls. Owner Johnny Stone says walk-in business from Sheppard is down 30 to 40%, and that's crippling local shops. Stone says the base is a major source of customers for many local artists, and the new competition only adds to the stress.
We don't necessarily need another shop, and let alone one that's going to take away from businesses in town. At least especially for the base that's supposed to be helping stimulate the economy.
Sheppard Air Force Base officials say that they reached out to several local shops to offer them the on-base vendor contract, but none provided the information needed to move forward with the contracting process. Ultimately, the honors went to a San Antonio-based shop who plans to open in mid-September. In other Air Force news, Air Force Chief of Staff General David Alvin has announced that he plans to retire later this year. Alvin has served as the Chief of Staff since November 2023 and previously served as the Vice Chief starting in 2020. He is an Air Force Army, he is not an Army. He's an Air Force Academy graduate and command pilot with over 4,600 hours of flight time over his 39-year career. Alvin reflected on his time in service, saying, quote, "I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as the 23rd Air Force Chief of Staff, and I'm thankful for Secretary Mink, Secretary Hegseth, and President Trump's faith in me to lead our service. More than anything, I'm proud to have been part of the team of airmen who live out our core values of integrity, service, and excellence every day as we prepare to defend this great nation." Well, the Air Force Thunderbirds are the pride of the Air Force and delight to fans around the world with aerial demonstrations. But some residents at an apartment complex aren't so happy to see the birds in town after their windows were destroyed, apparently during a practice. They were conducting maneuvers while practicing for the Chicago Air and Water Show, and apparently the impact of the Mach speeds caused some damage, spooking the locals.
Out of nowhere, it just boom. And the glass actually flexed right next to my face. I was about a foot from the window.
There was a group of white jets going by at the time, and one split off, as they usually do, and flew directly over our building. Immediately afterward, I heard a colossal kaboom.
Thankfully, no one was hurt. The damage is estimated to be in the thousands of dollars. However, the U.S. Air Force claims after a review that none of the Thunderbird jets went supersonic at any point during that demonstration. We'll see how this plays out, as I'm sure it will get some more scrutiny before it's all said and done. Well, the Pentagon is changing the military oversight of Greenland. Coming up, the latest in the Trump administration's push to acquire the territory from the Danish control.
Get ready for your day with the First Alert 7 app.
This just in, the town of Velma is being evacuated.
Stay connected to the team you trust your way. Get breaking news and investigations here on the 7 News app.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Right now I'm here at 2nd and F.
Instant forecast with real-time alerts here on the First Alert 7 weather app. And stream live on your TV here or watch anytime on your schedule. Download all 3 for free. Stay connected to 7 News wherever you are. Here's your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
Welcome back, everyone, and looking at what's happening right now. This is our Jackson County Memorial Hospital Tower Cam in Altus, and overall, things are quiet here on this early Tuesday morning. Checking out our temperatures are pretty much into the 70s with the exception of Waurika at 81, 79 in Duncan, 73 over towards Lyon. Overall, it looks like a sensor issue over towards Altus, 75 in Frederick, 77 in Quanah, 74 in Monday. Looking at your dew points right now, kind of on the muggy side, uncomfortably humid with upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. Looking at your alerts, though, we do have a heat advisory in effect. It's pretty much for our eastern half when it comes to our community, so pretty much from Lawton to Wichita Falls, Duncan, Waurika, Chickasha, and it's pretty much until 8 o'clock this evening, 7 o'clock over towards the Bowie area, and we can see feels like temperatures up to 106 degrees. So when it comes to what's happening elsewhere, though, we do have our current conditions here. We do have a trough, and that's kind of what's been enhancing those really minor rain chances as we've gone through the last day or so. But further down off towards the north, there is a frontal system, and that's going to begin to enhance a better opportunity for showers and storms, especially as we make our way later on today and going into your Wednesday. So you can see that those showers kind of just fizzle out, and then we kind of start seeing those showers regenerate a bit as we make our way throughout your Wednesday across the area. So about a 30% chance. So we'll talk a little bit more about these storms, and if there's a chance for some stronger storms, we'll break that down the next time I'm back on air.
Taking a look at a few military announcements. So this particular message is for our Army medical professionals located here in Southwest Oklahoma and North Texas. It's a bit short notice, but you still have time. Last week, the Surgeon General announced the nomination procedures for the annual Physician Recognition Award. That award, the award is for someone who has made a significant contribution to military medicine. Eligible nominees must be in the rank of captain through lieutenant colonel with at least 1 year of service remaining. Prior recipients are not eligible. Commands have until this Friday, so August 22nd, to submit nomination packets, which must include a memorandum from the commander's endorsement, a narrative summary of accomplishments, and supporting documentation. That recipient will be recognized at the Joint Graduate Medical Education Selection Board later this year. For details on that nomination and the requirements and points of contact, units should reference the ALAR Act 078-2025. And the Pentagon is changing military oversight of Greenland to U.S. Northern Command. The country is currently under U.S. European Command in Germany, and the change comes as President Trump continues to press for the island to break with Denmark. Trump says Greenland is vital for U.S. national security in the Arctic. The Pentagon's move is sure to anger Denmark, which has repeatedly stressed that Greenland is not for sale, and Trump's stated position does not amount to serious discussion. Well, today marks the 86th anniversary of the National Aviation Day. The observance was established in 1939 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It is also coincidentally the birthday of Orville Wright, one of the godfathers of aviation. Fun fact: the first official military airplane of the U.S. Army Signal Corps was the 1909 Wright military flyer. It could seat 2 people, reaching speeds of a whopping 40 miles per hour and at a range of 125 miles per hour. A local twist on aviation, fun fact, is that Henry Post Army Airfield on Fort Sill is the oldest continuously operating Army airfield, and is considered the birthplace of Army combat aviation since it was established in 1917. The U.S. Navy has declared a sailor who fell overboard late last month lost at sea. The latest from the investigation is coming up on Good Morning Fort Sill.
Get ready for your day with the First Alert 7 app.
This just in, the town of Velma is being evacuated.
Stay connected to the team you trust your way. Get breaking news and investigations here on the 7 News app.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Right now I'm here at 2nd and F.
Instant forecast with real-time alerts here on the First Alert 7 weather app. And stream live on your TV here or watch anytime on your schedule. Download all 3 for free. Stay connected to 7 News wherever you are.
Taking a look at your national military headlines. Some more GOP-led states have jumped on board to support President Donald Trump's efforts to combat crime in Washington, D.C. But while President Trump is touting the crackdown, D.C.'s mayor, Democratic mayor, sounded more frustrated with the escalation of federal agents and National Guard troops. CNN's Brian Todd has more.
This is not about D.C. crime.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser growing more frustrated over the escalation of federal agents and National Guard troops on the streets of the nation's capital.
You know what doesn't make sense? The numbers on the ground in the district don't support 1,000 people from other states coming to Washington, D.C.
Republican governors from West Virginia, South Carolina, Ohio, and Mississippi have announced they are sending additional National Guard troops to Washington in response to President Trump's call to increase law enforcement on the streets.
We went from the most unsafe place anywhere to a place that now friends are calling me up, Democrats are calling me up, and they're saying, sir, I want to thank you. And you did that in 4 days.
But Mayor Bowser does not seem to share that sentiment.
Why the military would be deployed in an American city to police Americans. That's the question.
Around the Capitol today, D.C. National Guard troops could be spotted near national monuments and major transportation hubs.
Have they told you anything about your mission, like what you're supposed to be doing around Union Station at least?
Just helping out with local law enforcement.
Are you carrying any firearms? No.
A Defense Department official tells CNN that so far, guardsmen on the street in D.C. are not armed and have not been requested to carry firearms. The official says they'll be prepared to arm if they get the order. When asked if they will deploy to high crime areas of the city, the official said, quote, "That's not the request." Not everybody agrees that National Guardsmen should be sent in from other states. One Republican governor, Phil Scott of Vermont, turned down a second request from President Trump to deploy its National Guard troops to D.C. to help Trump in his mission. The governor's office saying in part, while public safety is a legitimate concern in cities across the country, in the absence of an immediate disaster and unless local and regional first responders are unable to handle such an emergency, the governor is opposed to utilizing the National Guard for this purpose. Some D.C. residents have been very vocal, protesting and speaking out against the militarization of their streets.
They're not doing this to anybody else in this country. They're picking on D.C. We are and would be the largest black voting plurality, 46% black and brown residents in D.C. They're not doing this to any white-led spaces.
Every additional step they make makes the people of D.C. more dangerous, and that is why the people of D.C. do not want this. Nobody asked for it. We want them out. This is our home, and we do not want them here.
The U.S. Navy has confirmed a sailor has been lost at sea after being reported missing last month. Jose Antonio Rivera Lynch, IV, fell overboard from the USS George Washington last month while they were conducting operations in the Timor Sea. Lynch had been serving in the Navy for just over a year. He was 19 years old. And the U.S. Coast Guard's law enforcement detachment was able to intercept and seize nearly 1,300 pounds of cocaine earlier this month. The USS Sampson's crew was able to see telltale signs of smuggling, including excess of fuel barrels and packed cargo on deck. The suspected vessel attempted to flee and were disabled by fire from an MH-60 Romeo Seahawk helicopter. Teams were able to board the craft and recovered over 12 bales of suspected contraband. 2 individuals were taken into custody. And after a week of intense challenges that tested all of their military skills, the U.S. Forces Command, or FORSCOM, has crowned this year's best squad. Team 3, representing the 18th Airborne Corps at Fort Bragg, were able to take home top honors at this year's competition on Fort Bliss. 7 squads representing 7 divisions, brigades, and units faced off in events designed to simulate the demands of combat and the complexities of modern warfare. The squad out of Fort Bragg says they're proud of their achievement and credited their training as the reason behind their success. And a woman from Tucson is keeping her family's military history alive by chronicling her father's letters he sent to her mother while serving in World War II. Tara Harper's father passed in 2018 at 93 years old, and wanting to get to know her dad a little bit better, she read all of his letters he sent while he was enlisted. She's immortalized those memories in her book, Letters to Mom.
There's very few first-hand accounts anymore, so all we're left with are the letters and the photographs, and videos. You know, I think it's more important than ever to remember our history and you know, try not to repeat it. Their level of maturity at such a young age is what really strikes me. And they're longing to be back home doing fun things with their family, but yet realizing they were where they had to be and things just had to be put on hold.
Here's your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
And checking out the view right now in our Duncan Regional Hospital Tower Cam. Overall, a quiet start to your Tuesday, but like I mentioned before, we do have the chance for some showers and storms later on this afternoon going into this evening, and we do have a level 1 for a marginal risk for an isolated strong to severe storm that includes Duncan, Lawton, Altus, and points north. The concern here really going to be 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so just make sure to be weather aware. Looking at your PT forecast here at Fort Sill, we're going to be dealing with mid-70s here through sunrise, and then after the sun rises, we'll already start making our way into the upper 70s already by 8 o'clock, and already by 9 a.m. we're already pushing into the lower 80s at Fort Sill. But for the most part, it's going to be a relatively dry start. 98 degrees, we'll actually be in the upper 90s here as we make our way throughout today. 98 degrees. Isolated showers and storms, especially throughout this afternoon. Winds out of the south-southeast at 0 to 10 miles an hour. Sunset taking place at 8:16. And as we look at that 7-day forecast here, we are going to start seeing those temperatures overall starting to take a little bit more of a dive. We'll actually be a little bit below average by the time we head towards Thursday and Friday. And by the time we make our way into the weekend, we start seeing those rain chances starting to go up a little bit, about a 10% chance. Progressing into your Monday, we'll be bumping up to 20, but notice those highs actually go down to 90 on Monday. Nighttime temperatures will also take a dive from the mid-70s still tonight, going all the way down to the upper 60s late this week and into the weekend.
Well, thanks for watching Good Morning Fort Sill. You can join us here in a few minutes. Good Morning Texoma is coming up.
And have a great day.